Welcome to The Big Picture. I'm Phil Arno. Every generation faces challenges. As young people grow, they get to a stage of transition. There comes a time when you're not a little kid anymore, but you're not an adult either. You're stuck in this limbo where you can't be as carefree as you once were, but you aren't able to make decisions for yourself like adults do. That, my friends, is a tough phase of life. Add to that peer pressures and internet influences and the chaos on the world stage, and, well, if your teenager is giving you grief, you might just want to cut them some slack and possibly get them a little perspective on how adults handle things. Money things, business things, grown-up things. One way to go down that path, junior achievement. Junior achievement is a program that's been around longer than I have. Over 100 years, the program, not me. If you have kids or grandkids, or maybe you just know kids, or maybe you might want to help kids, pay attention, because we're going to dig into what junior achievement is today and how it helps kids into their future. Now I'd like to introduce to the show John Crawford, President of Junior Achievement of Western New York.
Thanks, Phil. How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for making me a star bowler the other day.
Well, I'm glad somebody was a star bowler.
Yeah, I haven't bowled in decades. But
yeah,
that
neither had I. That's why you were the star bowler
yeah.
and I wasn't. Yeah.
So Junior Achievement has been around forever, probably even longer than I have. So, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
When did that start? In Western New York, do you have any idea?
We've been around for about 75 years in Western New York. Nationally, Junior Achievement just passed its 100th birthday. So it's a big part of Western New York. It's a big part of education in the country generally.
Well, explain to the people who may not be familiar.
Sure.
What exactly Junior Achievement does.
I'll start with Junior Achievement back in the day, right? Because when you talk to people our age, they typically relate to that. So when I went to high school in late 70s, early 80s, Junior Achievement had one program. It was the company program. And most of the school districts in Western New York had it, and it was after school. So the students would start in September, and folks would sign up for the company program, and then they would meet regularly with a Junior Achievement advisor, and they actually created a product. I mean, something tangible that they would go out and sell. So they had to, figure out what the product was. They had to figure out their business plan. They had to figure out how to market it, how to sell it, and they actually would make money. And at the end of the year, the seniors would graduate, everybody else would go off to their summer activities, and they would just dissolve the company. And along with that, there was a national competition, and kids could compete for the big national business prize. So when you talk to people our age about the Junior Achievement experience, that's what they remember. And I'll tell you, they remember it with relish. It was a life changer for a lot of folks. One of the first people that I had lunch with after I took the job was a guy I worked at UB with, a gentleman by the name of Joe Kerr. I happen to know him. And he went to Amherst High School. And if I recall correctly, a lot of people in his wedding party were Junior Achievement Company program friends of his. He's a very successful guy right now. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me mentioning his name. And he told me he owes a lot of that to his Junior Achievement experience. I was talking to somebody the other day who was the marketing person in their Junior Achievement Club. And it was his job to go out knocking door to door to sell the products. And they made money. Junior Achievement's evolved quite a bit since then. We still have the company program. That's not as active in Western New York. It is in other parts of the country. There's about 100 Junior Achievement offices, areas throughout the country, 102 actually. That one program's evolved to a whole variety of programs down 3 different pathways. So we teach entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and work and career readiness. And we do it in the classrooms and in partnership with community organizations. And volunteers go in and teach that. If it's in a classroom, it's typically during a class period. So it might take 5 minutes, maybe over lunch. You take a drive to the school, you teach 35, 40 minutes, and you drive back to the office, and you're done. So it's there's been a lot of evolution here in Western New York, a lot of evolution with JAUSA over the course of the years, but we're happy to do it.
Well, and you talked about, you know, some of the changes,
Yeah.
and in this generation, with the advent of electronics and internet and the way things are virtually done, how has that changed things?
Yeah, it's a good question, and there's a lot of debate on that, by the way. So happily, when COVID hit, all that technology existed. So we were and I did it. I probably taught at least 3 or 4 programs over, you know, the internet at a few different schools. So prior to the kids going back, so kids went back to the classroom, but volunteers still could not visit the class. Prior to that, everybody was at home. So I would have, you know, through Zoom, is usually Zoom, I'd have the teacher and the children all there, and we would go through the lessons. And it worked. It wasn't easy. There were a lot of IT difficulties, but we worked through all of that stuff. And my experience anyway was quite good. Once the kids went back to the classroom, wouldn't let volunteers in, you'd have the whole class. It was one camera, and the class would be on the screen in front of you. But it was difficult to hear sometimes, so the kids in the back had to come up. But we got through that as well. But really, that was a COVID circumstance. I think to answer your question, we do, within the classroom, we blend the technology with the in-person instruction. And every teacher, I think, would agree, and the volunteers would agree as well, because all the instruction is delivered through volunteers, that it's better being in the classroom with the kids. You can communicate better. You can see people's body languages. Junior achievement, there's a lot of hands-on group activities, right? So the kids really need to be together to do that. So it's better that way. But what we do now that COVID's over, everybody's back, including the volunteers back in the classroom, is we do apply technology. So there's videos, there's different online exercises that the kids can take advantage of. There's a really cool program that we have called Junior Achievement Inspire. It's a virtual career fair. So prior to that, in Western New York, we did in-person career fair called JA Inspire for a couple of years, and then the pandemic hit. And the good folks at JUSA, really talented group of people, they came up with the virtual career fair. So kids do that right in the classroom, and they just get in their computers, and it's like walking into a convention center. It's like walking down a hallway with all the booths and everything. It's really quite neat. So I think we've achieved a nice blend, right, of IT platforms, you know, virtual platforms, and in-person instruction. It works out really quite well.
Okay. If we sum this up, would we call it kind of an entrepreneurial direction, or is it a combination of the entrepreneurial spirit, and are we still talking about specific products that people can come up with? How has that changed?
Yeah, it's I like to describe it, Junior Achievement, as being a solution provider, right? So I'll give you an example. We work with all sorts of schools and school districts, and we work with BOCES as well. So the nice folks down at Erie 2 BOCES in Dunkirk, I got to know them a little bit, and they called me. And there's a program called P-Tech where the kids learn. They work with local companies, and they learn some of the trades and that kind of education. But it was interesting because the social studies teacher for that program really wanted to teach the kids about entrepreneurship, because he had a graduate who learned how to weld, and he had started his own business. I think he's going to JCC, hasn't quite finished up yet, but he didn't wait. He went ahead and started his own welding business, bought some equipment, and is out making money with what he learned in BOCES, right? So the social studies teacher and his principal, I think we're smart enough to realize, well, let's teach these kids not just a little bit about the trades and working for some local company, but let's teach them how to be entrepreneurs. That was their vision for their students in their program. So we were able to respond to that. We had a nice Zoom conference. I don't think they'd mind if I mention, with some workforce people up in Niagara County just yesterday. And they work with young people who aren't in school anymore, and one of their priorities was teaching those kids financial literacy. So we were able to listen to them and develop some programming, and it'll start, I think the target date is the end of April. We'll need a little bit of time to gear up. But through conversations, we realized we're able to leverage our financial literacy programs to help your kids. So it really just depends, right, on who we're partnering with and what their needs are. But the general pathways are financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and work and career readiness.
And it used to be just a school program, but you just mentioned there are some young people who are no longer in school. What's the age range? It used to be through 12th grade, but it's actually through age, what, 23 or something?
That's an interesting question. So for junior achievement, it's kindergarten through 12th grade. Mm-hmm. But we meaning JAUSA and all the junior achievement areas are developing programs and curricula for the 16 to 24-year-old age group, right? Okay. So that could be a lot of different things. It could be the type of activity that I was just describing. Mm-hmm. It could be internship opportunities. It could be apprenticeship opportunities, things like that. But one of the things with JA is I think we nationally are very good at looking at trends across the country. And it was very clear to us that our programming, it's good programming, really should extend past the 12th grade, right? Mm-hmm. And should extend into young adulthood up to 24 years. If we really want to leverage our programs to the greatest effect for our students and our communities, we really have to extend it through that age group. And there are people that we're beginning to work with now that are helping us sort of define our value in that space. So I think that's one of the good things about junior achievement is we do have the flexibility of programs and program delivery, and I think the innovation of thought to make sure that we're responding to national trends and some of our local trends and needs.
Okay, well, we're just about out of time with this segment. We're going to come back in just a minute and talk about some of the ways that people can get involved and some of the schools that contribute to this. Anyway, we'll be back in just a minute. Stay tuned.
I want to be an interpreter for sign language.
Maybe try to be a lawyer.
I would like to run like a little cafe.
Junior Achievement gives young people the skills they need to own their economic success, plan for their future, and make smart academic choices. Our volunteers help students with financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship.
And it's really helping me understand how it's going to be in the future.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. My guest is John Crawford, who's president of Junior Achievement of Western New York. And we're talking about all things Junior Achievement,
yes,
which is a great program that's been around forever.
I think so.
But people may have questions about the way it's evolved and how you get involved and some of the things that are of benefit to young people that Junior Achievement does these days. And we had talked about it's not just a school program anymore. There are other organizations that you partner with. Tell me a little bit about that.
There are. So I've done a lot of volunteer teaching for Junior Achievement. I have taught in Boys and Girls Clubs. We work with YMCAs and YWCAs and after-school programs and in summer programs. So it's not just in school. I mentioned before that we work with some nice folks in the workforce investment effort in Niagara County, and some of their students aren't necessarily going to meet us in the classroom, so we've developed ways and other venues that we can provide some financial literacy and ultimately some entrepreneurship training for them as well. So we're really about partnering with any organization, right, that convenes young people and thinks that they could use a little extra education in, again, work and career readiness, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. We're willing to flex our models to meet the needs of the community.
How long would a young person be involved with junior achievement, going through the years and school and involvement?
Right. A lot of that depends on the particular program that we're delivering. Typically, the programs in elementary school are 5 sessions, a session being a classroom period. In middle school, it'd be 6 sessions, and in high school, it would be 7 sessions. And of course, all the curriculum is age appropriate. I really enjoy teaching a 4th grade program called In Our Region, and there's actually lessons about supply chain, and the kids talk about setting up their own businesses, and given the assets and the resources, in our case in the northeast of the country, the types of businesses that they can set up, they do these little mini business plans. So that program is a 5-session program, and it's a lot of fun. I've taught Be Entrepreneurial program to high school students. That's a 7-session program. That's a fun one too. There's a lot of hands-on activities, a lot of group activities in junior achievement. So there's kits, we call them kits, right? Little briefcases, and all the materials are in there. And in this particular case, in the entrepreneurship course, there was a bunch of pipe cleaners. So the project in class was to make a product that you could sell, build a business plan around with your pipe cleaners. So the students made all sorts of different types of things, right? So again, it's elementary school, typically 5 sessions, 6 sessions, and 7 sessions in high school. Having said that, there are a variety of programs. There's a program that's just 1 session. You can do it singularly, or you could attach it onto another program about buying a car and the finances that are associated with that. There's full semester programs that the teachers themselves deliver. So I remember I went to Lancaster High School, and I taught an entrepreneurship class, but I taught it within the junior achievement full semester program that they were teaching in there. It was either a business or a finance academy. So we can provide that as well. The curriculum is all there. And it's quite good. So there's different ways that students and teachers and other organizations can avail themselves of a junior achievement curriculum.
Interesting. And so the kids, do they get much on the challenges of being an entrepreneur? They get kind of all different sides of it?
They do. They do. And if you were to look, I'll just throw the website out real quick if people are curious,
absolutely.
Right? Just go to jawny.org, johnny.org. Okay. Along the entrepreneurship pathway, there's a program that kind of highlights business plans. There's a program that helps young people think like entrepreneurs, which might be the most important one, because not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur. A lot of people will be, folks use the term intrapreneur. The important point is to, regardless of whether or not it's your own business or a business that you work in, is to think like an entrepreneur and be creative and communicate with others and build plans. Those are the types of things that we teach.
Okay. What percentage of schools take part in junior achievement? High schools, grade schools?
Right. So we, as far as I'm concerned, not enough. Our penetration with the total number of students in Western New York is only about 5%. But I will say it's a pretty impactful 5%, right? We'll go into a strategic planning process this summer, and Junior Achievement USA, there's a lot of conversation, right, about Junior Achievement's greatest impact, not only on the Western New York community, but other communities in New York and across the country, as to whether or not we want to strive to be at every school, or whether or not we want to do our best in the schools that we're currently in, or maybe more to the point, do our best for the kids who need it most. I think we can do that, and I think we can continue to grow the numbers of kids, but we would have a lot of work to do to be in every school. Frankly, I'm not quite sure we have the organizational capacity to do that right now. I think it's a good place to a good direction that we can strive toward, but we're not there yet.
The businesses that assist you, that partner with you, there's quite a few businesses that help.
Yeah.
And what do they get out of it? Do they get candidates? Or is it just volunteer work that they help out?
I would say both, right? There is, and I even noticed it, right? prior to me taking the position as president, I was on the board. There is personal development that goes along with volunteering to be a teacher for JA. You're in front of people that are not necessarily your age, right? But I think certainly my teaching skills improved. And if they improved in a junior achievement classroom, they're probably improved when I go back to the office and work with other folks in the way of coaching and maybe teaching them specific things. I got that benefit from being a junior achievement volunteer instructor. Corporations, everybody, regardless of your business, really is finding it difficult now to recruit and retain the talent that they need. So to the extent that companies are able to be in front of young people, in middle school and high school in particular, they are, in I'd say kind of an indirect way, right? They're recruiting their future employees. So if, and I'm not going to name any particular bank, we've got a few bankers on our board, right? But if your bank is in front of a classroom of kids and they're interested in pursuing that industry or that profession, there's a good chance they're going to take a look at you because you were their junior achievement volunteer instructor in high school. So that's very clearly a benefit for the companies that support us. I think where the rubber hits the road, and the most important thing is companies and people in Western New York are really community-minded people. And whether it's a CEO or if it's a teller at a bank, everybody wants to do what they can for the young people in our community. And junior achievement gives them an opportunity to exercise their, I'd say, their philanthropic or their volunteering intent. That's the most important thing.
Well, there's a lot of things that kids can do to expand their horizons and to get an education about different things. From what you've said, just listening to your words, it seems to me that what you're talking about is a life experience education. The entrepreneurial mentality, even if you're not going to start a business, you think like somebody who has to take into account a lot of the considerations that come to bear on personal responsibility and thinking through situations, what's the next logical step, et cetera. It's kind of a life experience teaching.
That is the idea. And I will tell you that really is why it's important to have volunteers in front of the kids, somebody other than the teachers. And the teachers in Western New York, in the country generally, are terrific people. The volunteer just provides a different perspective, a different example for the kids that really is beneficial. And the teachers would be the first one to say that. The volunteers would be the first one to say it. And frankly, junior achievement programs have been built around volunteer teachers since day one. So it can be a life-changing experience. We had a story just the other day, an email from a teacher who had just had a volunteer in to do junior achievement. And she mentioned there's a young student in the back that typically doesn't participate at all, just kind of sits there. And the junior achievement really piqued that young person's interest. They participated in the group where otherwise they probably would not have. They vocalized, they communicated with other people in ways that they haven't before. So to that extent, it's the little things, right? It's just the little miracles that happen every day that move us all forward. And I'd say that junior achievement helps provide some of that, right?
Well, we only have about 30 seconds left. If you want to find out more about this, we'll put the website on the screen, and people can go to the website. Yeah. Is there anything you can do with your school or other organizations to get information?
It's on the website, right? Including volunteer opportunities. There's a form that you can fill out. We talked a little bit about our bowl-a-thon. If you're a bowler, that'll pop right up. You can't miss that when you go to our website. It's just right there. If you're a bowler, you can fill out the form and just get the information that you can get the information.
And there is, we have to mention that there is a bowl-a-thon for kids coming up.
There is, yeah. The bowl-a-thon, it's a big deal for us. It is a big part of our revenue, but it's a ton of fun. And I'll tell you, everybody that I've talked to can't wait for the bowl-a-thon this year because it's been a couple years since we've had it. We had a small one last year, right when everything started opening back up again. But people are working from home still, a lot of companies. And it's a way for colleagues to get back together who aren't seeing a whole heck of a lot of each other anymore. And even if you're with somebody every day, it's a way to get with your colleagues and your friends that's a little bit more fun than going to work. So we've got that coming. It's all on the website. There's a few different dates, a few different venues. If you want to learn about the programs or if you're interested in volunteering and would like to learn more, there's forms on the website. You just fill all that out, and the good folks back at Junior Achievement Western New York will be in touch with you.
Okay, terrific. Well, that's all the time we have for this big picture. I hope you appreciate what a great job Junior Achievement does for our kids today. And I want to thank John Crawford for being my guest, and thank you for watching The Big Picture, and as always, for watching WBBZ-TV. We really appreciate you. See you next time on The Big Picture.